Hello everybody, this is Jeannie Terranova from All About Yarn, Knit and Crochet, because that is what I do. I knit and I crochet. And today I'm going to show you how to knit a corner-to-corner dishcloth. It's very easy. Anyone can do it with very little knitting skills. I'm going to be using a size 6mm needles and some cotton that I got from the dollar store. And I'm going to measure my needles here because I want to use needles that are a little bit big so that I can have a nice drapey dishcloth. And bring this in. Okay, so here we have it in millimeters, and I believe it's millimeters on the top and US on the bottom, because there's actually 3 different sizes of needles. I have one here. It says 4, but if I bring it over to this 4, it's too big. And if I bring it over to the US 4, it's really big. So I think it's from England or the UK. And I have a few laying around that are different. So I have like 3 different measurement units going on. So I'm hoping this is the US and Canadian. I know this is Canadian. I will have to ask my friends online to tell me what they are. There's also crochet hook sizes on this. So this is a J hook, which says J hook is a size 6mm. So would that be a 10 in US or would that be a 10 in the UK? Please let me know. If you know what that is, what this other gauge of measurement is, please let me know if it's US or UK. It would be very handy to know because I have like 170 mixed up needles that I don't know what they are, and I can only figure out the ones that are in the MM. The ones that are in US and UK, they're all mixed up. Anyways, let's get on with this. We just need to cast on 3 or 4 stitches, and I'm going to show you how. We're going to start off with a slip knot. Okay. And we're going to knit them on. I'm going to use same color needles. Let's see. Oh, these needles are a little bit sticky for me. I'm so used. If you use metal needles, your stitches will tend to slip off. When I'm knitting really quickly, I use that to my advantage. But if you're a beginner, you might want to use plastic needles that aren't slippery ones. Look at the gouge. Or wooden needles. They don't slip as much either. So to knit, we're going to knit these stitches on the same way as we would be doing knitting. We're going to come up from the bottom, bring the yarn around from the back to the front, from bottom to top. Not this way, not from the front to the back. That's incorrect. Come from the back to the front. Wrap it around and in between the needles. Bring it down in between them. Grab the yarn, pull it down through the bottom. Okay, that's your new stitch. We're going to put it on here, but before we put it on, we're just going to turn it and then put it on. Okay, we're going to make 4 of them. So bring it up from the bottom, put your needle in from the bottom up, make it go in the back, take your yarn, put it in the back, we're going to bring it up to the front, down through, hear that little click? When you're a good knitter, you can make a lot of those little clicks. And before we put it on, we're going to turn it, okay? Just so that it's easier to get this in. So we're going to make 4 stitches. Okay. Turn it, put it on. Okay, there's our 4 stitches. And it's also knitted a little bit already. So we're going to knit across these 4 stitches. We're just going to knit 1 row first. Just like when we were making the stitches, except for we keep it on the needle. We don't transfer it over to the other needle. Now I could knit more comfortably, but my camera is in between me and my work, and my arms are like pushed out ahead of me. So I'm not as comfortable to get knitting. Like I couldn't knit quickly from this position. So we're going to take our needle and from the bottom up, put it in because we're knitting. I'll try to keep my thumb out of the way. We're going to bring this yarn to the back, wrap it around the back needle, bring it in between and down. Then we're going to take this back needle, pull that thread down through the bottom. Okay? So we're going to knit 2 of them. So the whole dishcloth is just going to be a plain knit stitch. The only other thing we're going to do now, because we're going to knit from corner to corner, so we're going to have to increase our stitches to make the dishcloth get wider. We're going to add a stitch, and this is the only thing that's different. We're going to take this yarn, while these aren't connected into any of the knitting to be knitted, we're going to take this yarn and put it in between the needles from the back to the front, in between the needles, always from the back to the front, okay? Now we're going to insert our needle like we're going to knit from the bottom up, but when we go to knit, this yarn is in the front, so we're just going to bring it to the back like it's supposed to be. We're just going to bring it that direction to the back so that we can bring it up around like we always do. See how it totally wraps around the needle that way. And then continue knitting the yarn off just like we always do. So where we brought that yarn ahead, here it is. It made a new stitch. So we have an extra stitch on. And then we'll just knit the rest of the stitches to the end, even if it's only 1. Later we're going to have more on here, and we'll always knit them to the end. We'll knit 2. Every row we're going to start off knitting 2, and then we'll bring the yarn ahead in every row. We'll knit the next stitch, and then we'll always have a new stitch in between the first 3, and then every stitch that's after we'll just normally knit right to the end. I hope that's not a lot to take in. This is a very easy design. So we turn our work, we're ready to knit the next row. Every row we're going to knit 2 and then bring the yarn ahead. So knit 1, knit 2, bring the yarn ahead, and then knit, or put your needle into knit, and then bring this yarn in the back and then up around like we're going to knit that stitch. And the 3 stitches turns into 4. And then we just knit to the end. Now these needles are chewed up on the end a little bit. I'm going to switch them when I pause the camera. I'm going to switch them over to this pair. Okay, so knit 2. Bring the yarn in between them towards you, and then situate your needles to knit the next stitch. But before you knit the next stitch, your yarn is in the front, and we need to start it with the back and bring it around the front of this needle in between them. Remember, just like we're knitting, and then we'll knit that off. Now we got the 3 stitches turns into 4. Then we knit the rest of this needle to the end. Just ordinary knitting. We do that every new line, every new row. Okay, now we have 7 stitches. We have 7 stitches and we only start it with 4. We have 1 hole starting. It's going to be lace around the edge as it picks up stitches. Now there is a way we can knit these without making the holes, and I can show you that another time. Bring the yarn ahead, just knit to the end now. You can always go back on this video if you missed anything or need it to slow down. You can pause it or go back and watch how a stitch is being made. So knit 2, bring the yarn ahead. So when you bring the yarn ahead, it's making this turn into a triangle. If you forget to bring the yarn ahead, it will make a straight up line where that row is. So it won't be a perfect triangle. Yeah, these are chewed up. My cats must have been playing with them and chewing them up because they're just plastic needles. Little boogers. Bring the yarn ahead. I knit it 2, bring it ahead, and then keep on knitting. Keep on knitting. Knit, knit, knit. Yeah, if I were able to keep my arms in where I normally have them, I notice some of the stitches are a tiny bit wonky. That's a good word. Yeah. Bring the yarn ahead after knitting 2, and then keep on knitting. So you keep doing this until you have 49 stitches. As this gets wider, they'll take a little bit longer, but it's an easy dishcloth to do for beginners. If you're having a little bit of a hard time, you could make coasters. You don't have to keep going until it's as big as a dishcloth. You can just make coasters to put your drinking cup on, you know. Make a 3 or 4 inch square. So I'm going to switch my needles. You can see where a row of holes are beginning for lace. So I'm going to pause this and I'll meet you back here right after I'm done my 49 rows. Okay? Okay, I have my 49 stitches. I changed my needles and I ran into a little knot. Oh, there it is. there was a splice in the yarn. So I just kept on knitting. Most of these skeins that I get from the dollar store are one solid piece. Honestly, they are. They're pretty good quality. They're made by Easy Knit, and yeah, I think they're just made for quick sales at the dollar store for the crafting section. But yes, so this is the first half of the dishcloth. You can see it better when it's on the table. That's the first half. It's a little bit crunched up on my needle because it's a bit wider than what the needle is. And I have large hands, so if I'm making it look small with my hands, it actually isn't. But I really like the drape on it. And cotton is absorbent. I mean, they make cotton dishcloths and towels and face cloths. You know, it's very absorbent. It doesn't melt. And that's what this is. It's cotton. So, yes, you can make face cloths. You can make hand towels with this. If you use a blanket yarn, you could make a throw with this. It's very simple. Just keep on making it till it's the size you want. So now I'm going to show you how to begin to narrow this. Let's see if I can get my camera back. Okay. Yeah, these ones aren't chewed up. Bad little kitties. They're cute. Okay, so now we're going to begin to narrow. So we're going to, let's see, what do I do? We're going to knit one, and then we're going to knit two. Can you see this? My needle, this needle is longer and it's hitting the table. We're going to knit two together. I guess I'll go this way. Knit two together. I hope you can see this, because this is the decrease round. Okay, so that actually would have decreased it one, but now we want to make this whole, and it's going to make us gain a new stitch. So we're going to bring the yarn ahead, knit two together again, oops, it split. Okay. Knit two together. Oh, I see a feral cat outside. Oh, I feed them, but they will not come in. There she is. That's a feral cat. If I bring her in, she'll probably rip the house apart, freaking out, and she'll probably try to jump through the glass window and hurt herself. Because I did get them in a couple of times, and they were like a wild squirrel all over the place in the biggest panic. So I don't try to get them in anymore. I feel so bad for them. The woman next door made a cat house with straw in it for them for in the winter, because it gets so cold, 33 below Celsius. You can throw a cup of hot water in the air and it will turn to snow. Like it won't even, the water won't even hit the ground. So, okay, so we knitted one, we knitted two together, we yarned over, which made one come back again, so we knitted two together again. So it's a little bit more work to decrease. So we do that there, and then we knit all the way to the end. Okay? And I will show you that a few times because it's a little more work. But every time you're decreasing 2 stitches, but you're adding 1 back because of the lacy hole that we're making. So it only ends up that after doing all that, we're only decreasing the 1 stitch. But remember, we were only increasing 1 stitch every row. So now we're decreasing 1 stitch every row. So it's going to make a perfect square. And they call it corner to corner. See how wide it got? It's like... I think that kitty wants her supper. It's almost 6 o'clock supper time here. I'll show you another row or two. And then I'll go feed the kitty because they need food to keep warm. Spring's coming. She's been through the worst of the winter, so she's safe now. Yes, she is safe. And I do hold my yarn and needles different than everybody else. I'm doing a 2-step motion, so if you want to hold your needles a different way, you can look online and find other ways to hold it. I had some nerve damage done. I had cancer, and the ends of my fingers, I had to relearn to knit. In fact, I cannot use soft baby yarn. I can't feel it in my fingers. So last year, well, about 1.5 years ago, I picked up some heavy yarn and I started again. But I have to knit differently. I can't do this all the time like other people do with this finger. I don't have much control with it, so I knit differently. Okay, so I knit 1, then I knit 2 together. That's a little bit of a decrease starting. Knit 2 together, and then we're going to bring this yarn up ahead and knit 2 together again. So if you want to try to remember, whoops, yeah, if it's a little bit tight, just push your stitches towards the tips because the tips are skinnier. Just be careful they don't pop right off. There. So this was just a plain knit. This is a knit 2 together, and this is a knit 2 together, and in the middle of the knit 2 togethers is the yarn ahead. So on each side of this yarn ahead, we have the 2 decreases. The yarn ahead is actually the new stitch added on. So 2 decreases and 1 added on. Makes a total of -1. And then we knit to the end. So I'm going to pause this for a minute, and I'm going to go feed that kitty. I'll be right back. Just going to knit this right to the end. I fed the kitties. There were 3 out there. That's almost the whole herd. There's only 1 that's not fixed. We live trapped them and sent them away to get fixed, and then they bring them back to their own environment. Feral cats. So, starting the new row, we knit 1. And then we knit 2 together, and then we bring the yarn ahead And then we knit 2 together again. There we have it. And then we knit to the end. I'm going to pause this so I don't bore you while I'm knitting to the end, and I'll show you how to do this one more time. Okay, I knit it to the end of that row. As you can see, we're starting to get a corner here, and I'll show you how to do that decrease row, beginning of it, one more time. And then I'll knit this towards the very end, and I'll show you how to finish it. So we're going to knit 1, always knit 1 first, knit 2 together. I think my hands shrunk from going outside with the cats. Knit 2 together, bring the yarn forward, knit 2 together again. So you bring this yarn to the back, up this way, remember. And then knit to the end. So every row we do, we're going to have one less stitch. So it's going to get faster to get finished again. But yes, you can make placemats and coasters. They sell all different kinds of cottons. They have variegated, mixed colors or plain. They have springtime colors. They have fall colors. You can make just about anything with these. So I'm going to get this going, and I'll meet you back at the end. Okay. Okay, so it's getting dark here really fast, and I'm going to lose my lighting, and it's going to be a very dark video. So I'm going to end it now, and anyways, I'm just going to tell you what you do. I believe you know already. You just keep decreasing until you get to the very last stitch, and then just pull your yarn through it. Cut your yarn and pull it through the last stitch, and this is what it looks like. See, I'm losing too much light. Everything's getting dark out. So that's what the lace would look like up close, and it's a garter stitch. It's nice and flexible, nice corners. Yes, so it's a very nice dishcloth. This measurement thing is 5.5 inches. So there's 5.5, 5.5 plus 4.5. It's a 10-inch dishcloth. If you want to make it a little bit smaller, you can just maybe go to 45 stitches instead of 49. And oh, I like it. Anyways, happy yarning, everybody. Stay well, and see you next time. Bye.